all my Lions fans, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So welcome back, my friends, to this current situation that I'm in, currently being on TDY. I know, again, this isn't my normal situation, but again, we're making the best of it as we possibly can, and I honestly cannot wait to get back to New York so I can get back to what I normally do, but c'est la vie. But anyway, in this episode here, what we're going to be talking about is, again, we're going to talk about the Buccaneers game that's coming up. But we're going to reverse trend here, and instead of talking about the defense now of the Lions, we're going to talk about the offense now of the Lions. Now, when I was talking about the Lions defense in the previous episode that I just released, I was talking about it as the Lions defense has got to have a quick ability to get past what happened against the Rams, find a way to build cohesion, build that chemistry to get ready for the Buccaneers passing game that's coming into town. Well, with this game, for the offense of the Detroit Lions, it's a bit of a different, goal, I would say. It's a bit of a different, mission for them, because rather than stopping somebody or rather than continuing something, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get their offense started, like get the thing going. They're trying to shake off the rust. They're trying to get themselves in the right frame of mind so that way they can, start really getting into the nuts and bolts of this offense and really open up the playbook, really get into the nitty-gritty of the Ben Johnson, Jared Goff offense that we saw last year and the year before that. But now with Jameson Williams in it, it can get even further diverse than what we've seen. So for the Lions offense, this is the get-right game. This is the tune-up game. This is, okay, you didn't have a very good opening night game against the Rams. Okay, you didn't play all preseason. You haven't really done a whole lot as far as all that nonsense. Okay, you were able to get past all that. You were able to, win the game, get another week of practice. Now you're coming into this game against the Bucs. You're back at home again. You're on home turf. You should be in your best position to be able to start right off. Now, here's the thing. In that Rams game, the Lions offense, I'm just going to call for what it is. It was not very, consistent. It looked actually kind of slow throughout the majority of the game, and it looked like it was sputtering. There were times where it was like, hey, you know what? We'd rattle off a couple of plays, and it looked like we're making progress. And we'd maybe have an explosive here or there. But for the majority of the time, there was way too many 3-and-outs. There was missed opportunities all over the place. So, as Dan Campbell said, there's definitely stuff to clean up there. And for me, I know for a fact that when it comes to this offense that Ben Johnson and Jared Goff have, while it's a unique offense that's all their own, it's still based in the West Coast system. And the West Coast system is all based on rhythm and timing. So once you get into a rhythm, once you've established the timing with everybody that's in that offense, you're now able to get that offense not only humming, but now running. So for me, I look at this game that's coming up for the Lions against the Buccaneers. This is the game that I know for a fact Ben Johnson is not going to want this second, how do I say this? Ben Johnson's not going to want to have a repeat of what happened last week against the Rams. He's not going to accept, he is not going to allow himself to let this offense have another, kind of flop. And I know the players aren't going to let it happen because, again, go back to the freaking, training camp and all the stuff that happened there. There was a practice where the offense didn't do very good. Dan Campbell said, listen, you guys know the standard. You guys know this is not acceptable. I'm not going to tell you anything more than that. And then the very next practice, the Lions offense came out. It was one of the best practices they had all training camp. So for me, it's like, listen, Jared Goff said it, and a lot of the other Lions offensive players said it. It wasn't a good showing for them. They didn't play to their standard. They know it wasn't a good game for them. So obviously, they're going to refocus. They're going to double down. They are going to make sure that when they come into that game against the Bucs, they are on point, that they are going to make sure that they are, I'm talking about being razor sharp focused, going to have the cohesion, have the chemistry going. So for me, I already think that in the mental aspect, I think the Lions offense is going to be in a good place. But then when we talk about the physical aspect as far as who's going to be playing in the game, the Lions are going to pretty much, if not, I guarantee, have all the same guys that we played with the Rams. Now, whether or not they're going to be a full 100% healthy, I don't know. Obviously, we know Jameson Williams tweaked his ankle a little bit, but obviously he was able to come back, still be able to play and do what he does. But I guarantee you this, he's probably not going to be a full 100% healthy, but probably 98, 99%, but still able to do his job. But you take a look at J-Mo in his game against the Rams, that was a breakout performance for him, and I guarantee you this, he is chomping at the bits to get right back on the field and do it all over again, because once you start, you want to get more. You want to keep expanding. And Jameson Williams is a hungry competitor. He wants to get as many opportunities to prove himself to people. And I have no doubt in my mind that Jameson Williams is going to do just that. Because, again, what we saw in that Rams game, Jared Goff and Jameson Williams, their connection is on point because Goff and J-Mo were practically the only connection that was really working. Sam Laporta got a couple, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, for whatever reason, he just disappeared from that game, which is typically a very big problem because he is primarily the lifeblood of our offense. So when he disappears, something's awry. But obviously, J-Mo and Goff are on point right now, and I guarantee you, J-Mo's going to want to continue to do what he's been doing. And then obviously, David Montgomery, he was freaking plowing the way for our offense at the end of the game, and he is, again, proving to be the guy that is everybody is overlooking outside the building, but everybody in the building knows he has immeasurable value. So for me, I think these two are going to be a big reason for the Lions' offensive success against the Buccaneers' defense because the Bucs are a defense that I think is a perfect situation for the Lions offense going into this game. And I'm going to tell you why. The Bucs are coming into this game most likely with a very banged up secondary. First and foremost, again, watching the Buccaneers and the Commanders game last week, I already saw this. The Bucs lost 3 cornerbacks in that game alone. When it was all said and done, the only cornerback they had left on the field that was actually a true cornerback was Jamal Dean, their starting cornerback. But at the end of the game, they had lost their number 3 corner, Bryce Hall, for practically the entirety of the year because I think he either, dislocated his ankle or something. Pretty much he's not going to be able to play the remainder of the year. And the other 2 cornerbacks that were pretty much their number 2 and their number 4 guy, they also left the game with injuries. Zion McCollum, who was their number 2 cornerback, he left the game with a concussion. And Josh Hayes, their number 4 cornerback, he left the game with an ankle injury. So even if those guys somehow managed to play, which of the 2, I think Josh Hayes would probably be the more likely to play because concussions are a very tricky business. But even if they do somehow manage to play, these cornerbacks are going to be coming in and they're not going to be 100% healthy. The only one that's going to be healthy is Jamal Dean. So now you've got a very wide open secondary. Jamal Dean's the only guy that's going to be in there that's going to be a quote-unquote true corner that's actually fully 100% healthy, ready to go. Now, if, again, McCollum is able to, clear concussion protocol, that would obviously change. But still, the depth that the Bucs have at cornerback is very, very thin. It's very sparse, which tells me that, okay, the Lions would be wise to attack there because there's so little depth. There's not going to be a whole lot of reserves. And cornerbacks, they get tired pretty quickly because they got to chase wide receivers. And Khalif Raymond and Jameson Williams are pretty damn fast last time I checked. But there's another way that this Lions offense can really take advantage of the Bucs defense. Again, because I watched the game against the Commanders, I noticed a couple of things that the Commanders offense was actually able to do and do well. The one thing they did really well was run the ball. Now, primarily, they did it with Jaden Daniels because Jaden Daniels was able to scramble all over God's green earth. But the point of the matter is that the ability to run was not something that the Commanders could not do. They could do it. Well, like I just said, David Montgomery was plowing the way for us against the Rams. We still have Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay, I'm telling you this right now. The Lions should be able to do whatever they want for the most part running the ball. Because again, our entire offensive line is going to be up front. It's going to be healthy. None of our guys got injured, and we should be good to go. And again, David Montgomery had a great game. Jahmyr Gibbs is still Jahmyr Gibbs. So it's like, okay, if we can get the run game going and consistently maintain it, which was something we didn't do against the Rams because for whatever reason, we started out the game with David Montgomery, and then for like 2 quarters, we went to Jahmyr Gibbs, and we just for whatever reason, lost our running game and then just primarily focused on the pass. And then once we put David Montgomery back in, the running game just all of a sudden came back to life. So it's like, okay, we have to keep David Montgomery in there, still mixing it around, rather than just saying, okay, Montgomery's going to have like a quarter or a couple of drives, and then the next couple of drives is going to be Gibbs. No, mix them in and out. Do not go to saying, okay, you're going to have one quarter, you're going to have 2 quarters, and you're going to finish the game. No, mix them in and out throughout the drives. None of this one drive off, one drive on bull crap. Mix them in and out. So there's that. Plus, on top of that, as far as I'm going to say is this. One thing I can say is that, for me, the Lions being at home is going to be something that is going to help them out. Again, we didn't really see it a whole lot against the Rams because, again, the Lions' offense was kind of sputtering. It wasn't really getting what it needed to do in that game. But, again, if there's one thing I know, the Lions' offense always does better at home. It almost always does better at home. So, again, the fact of the matter is, when I'm saying the Lions are in the position to shake off the rust, have a get-right game, all of the situations that are in this scenario, they're playing in the Lions' favor. Okay, you've got a weakened secondary come in. Jared Goff should be able to take advantage of that with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. They should be able to take advantage of that, especially after another week of practice, after having a game where they were able to identify what was not working, how to retweak and retune stuff, get on the same page. Okay, we can work on that. And then, on top of that, the Lions are still one of the best running games in the entirety of the NFL. Obviously, Jaden Daniels was able to make some moves that allowed him to get a pretty good day because he was the guy that had 2 rushing touchdowns and a lot of rushing yards against that Bucs defense. So, okay, let's see what he did. Let's see what the Commanders did. Use that as something in our offensive game plan to exploit, and then we can start doing play-action passing off of it, because that was one thing I saw in the Rams game we didn't do very well. We did not get our play-action game going very well, and that's a huge component of our offense because it's one of the things that Jared Goff does the best at. So to me, I think that for the Lions, the ability to focus on these things will allow them the perfect chance to really get their offense jump-started. Because, again, once you have that first, whatever it is, go your way, the first domino to fall, then the next one can fall. And then you have this momentum going, and it's just boom, 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 boom. That, for me, I think is what the Lions are trying to do right now. Imagine, if you will, you're on a motorcycle and you're trying to get that motorcycle to start. And every time you hit the jump start at the bottom, it just keeps kind of sputtering a little bit. It's not actually fully catching and turning over. What I am saying is I think that this game is when you hit that jump start and all of a sudden the engine roars. Instead of just sputtering and just clicking, okay, now it turns over and we're riding and we are fully go. And that's what I think this game is going to do, because I know this for a fact. The Lions know that they are one of the best offenses in the entirety of the NFL. They have a high standard. They are going to meet that standard. And there's no way in hell they are going to go out again with the home crowd watching and not put up a performance. Because if they do, that's going to be a much bigger problem. Because, again, I'm going to say this. It's not something to be a problem necessarily if there's one game where the Lions offense doesn't necessarily have the best game in the world, because even the best offense is going to have an off day now and then. And while I don't like that, it's part of the game, because nobody can be perfect 100% of the time. Nobody's perfect, period. But if you have a second game where that happens and you have all of this talent and you've been working on all this stuff all off season and you're still having problems, especially with Ben Johnson and especially with all the talent we have, that's when you start wondering, okay, what is truly going on here? Because after, a whole extra week to prepare for the Rams, then you had the week after the Rams to prepare for the Bucs, it's like, okay, we should already be kind of in a rhythm right now. So that's why I'm saying this is a big game for the Lions offense, because it's going to allow them, in my opinion, to get on track and start actually doing the things that we have been expecting them to do. But we're going to see what actually happens. I'm hoping and praying for the best, because I want to see this offense just absolutely have fireworks and explosive plays one after another, because that's what I expect. That's what I think all Lions fans expect. Not only an explosive offense, but a steady, consistent offense. But having said that, I'm going to end the episode and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to subscribe to the channel. But I also want to encourage y'all this. If you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, please, please, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon as well, so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. I also want to encourage y'all to please share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you possibly can. The more we can share it, the greater the channel can grow and spread. And with that being said, folks, I hope you all enjoyed the content. Whether you're a long-time viewer or you just viewed me for the very first time, I hope you all enjoyed the content. And I hope you all got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.